Hello students, in this module we will discuss about methods of teaching physical science. Teaching is an art and there are some born teachers, but majority of teachers that we have today are not successful in delivering their acquired knowledge to their learners. And those teachers who have no inherent flair for teaching are unable to arouse interest in their learners. The flair for teaching and ability to get acquainted with the trends and developments in teaching learning pedagogy can be improved by the knowledge of different methods of teaching. A teacher has got freedom to choose any of the method of teaching according to his knowledge, interest and experience. A single method is not preferred for all topics as the best one, but the combination of methods can be used as more effective. Methods of teaching in science. Science is not only knowledge about universe, it is also a way of obtaining knowledge. Each teacher may find ways in which he could get the best result. Etymologically, method is derived from Greek word methodos, which means pursuit of knowledge. Method refers to the way of delivering knowledge and transmitting scientific skills by a teacher to his pupils. Methods of teaching science can be classified into two types: teacher-centered, pupil-centered. Teacher-centered teaching. The teacher-centered teaching is mainly expository in type, in which the focus is on telling, memorization and recalling information. The students are passive recipients of knowledge. The teaching environment is very much formalized and the teacher occupies a central position in the classroom. Pupil-centered teaching. In pupil-centered teaching, the whole teaching learning process is geared to the needs, requirements and capabilities and interest of the pupil. The purpose is to develop the learner's skills and abilities in independent learning and problem solving. Teacher-centered methods. First one, lecture method. The lecture is one of the most basic pedagogic tool which is generally followed in schools and colleges. Here the teacher talks and pupil listens. Despite the fact that this method does not cater for realizing the aims of teaching science and is not in accordance with the principles of teaching, it is the most dominating method today and is liked by majority of teachers. The lecture is an exposition of knowledge, facts, principles or other information which a teacher wishes to present to her students. In short, a lecture means one person addressing many students. Planning the lecture. First one, who is your audience? The who of the topic. Next one, what is the purpose of your lecture? Why? Next, how much time is available? How long? And the last one, what is your subject matter? The what? There are three phases of a lecture. They are preparatory phase, development phase and consolidation phase. Preparatory phase or warm-up phase. In this phase, students are to be prepared to receive the contents of a lecture. Variety of formal and informal techniques can be used to prepare the students or to arouse their level of motivation or curiosity. In the classrooms, normally teacher relates the contents of the lecture to the previous knowledge of the students. Second, development phase. This is the most important phase of the lecture. The entire body of lecture is delivered in this phase only. Some activities of this phase are using analogies, giving suitable examples, proper illustration, comparison and differentiation, use of proper aids and in recent time proper use of audiovisual technology in classrooms. Third, the consolidation phase. This is the end part of the lecture. Here lecturers pinpoint the important aspects of the lecture once again by summarizing. Now, proper reviewing can be done to check the level of understanding by asking questions, providing assignments, feedback and can relate to the topic to the future learning content. Skills associated with good lecture. First one, use of body language, and next, use of communication boosters, varying the stimulus, voice modulation, use of proper language. Area of application of lecture method. To introduce new and difficult topic. Next one, to revise the topics already covered. Third one, to give some background of a certain topic. Next, to introduce life histories of great scientists and their struggles and achievement in life. To explain about certain procedures. To impart factual knowledge. To explain too deep theoretical factors. Demonstration method. In demonstration method, the teacher really teaches the content through proper demonstration of what all things which are important. The teacher performs experiments and goes on asking people to observe certain things. The students are compelled to observe and not the important things, as they have to infer some theoretical factors from their recorded observations. Question and answer sessions will be the highlighted part of this program. Students are actively involved in the classroom discussions, and this develops power of observation, reasoning and drawing inference. The method is based on the fact that the things which are seen believable and are true, and this method follow the maxim of teaching from concrete to abstract. Criteria for good demonstration. Demonstration should be planned and rehearsed well in advance. The aim and purpose of demonstration must be clear to the teacher. The demonstration should be arranged in such a way as everything is clearly visible to all. Throughout the demonstration, active participation from all parts should be there. People should be made familiar with each and every items used in demonstration. Apparatus should be arranged in a sequence on the table. It is better to keep apparatus to be used on the left hand side and used on the right hand side. Demonstration should be simple and speedy. Difficult points in the demonstration should be explained beforehand. Demonstration should be supplemented by various teaching aids, pictures, etc. to make it effective. Demonstration should start by posing a problem and people will be led to solve the problem. Throughout the demonstration, teacher should maintain interest of the students. Teacher should impress upon the students to write what they observe. Merits. It is economical as the teacher alone performs the experiment. It saves time when the number of experiments are performed in short time. The method is psychological because the students are shown concrete facts verified practically. The method is very suitable if apparatus cost high or damaged easily. If some special skills are needed to perform the demonstration. If the chemicals or other things used in demonstration are dangerous. The method is very suitable if quick revision is required or makes learning situation more meaningful. It is suitable for all types of learners as it ensures same pace. Demerits. There is no scope of learning by doing or developing practical skills as the teacher alone performs the experiment. The method does not show the difference between bright and dull. No scientific skills are inculcated and possesses lack of training in scientific method. No scope of improving practical skills as teacher alone performs the experiment. Lecture cum demonstration method. The lecture cum demonstration method is the demonstration method followed by lecture. That is, every step of demonstration is followed by a well sequenced lecture. Historical method. In this method, the topic is introduced in an anecdotal fashion when required and carried through various stages of evolution of scientific ideas which have their own past history. The real field of science, scientific attitude and appreciation can be effectively developed in pupils by unfolding the real story of great discoveries in a concrete and lively manner. For example, when a teacher teaches about Archimedes' principle, he can narrate the story of the king who tested whether his crown is made of pure gold. Historical or biographical method emphasizes the human interest for adventures. The history of science is nothing but the biographies of scientists. Historical or biographical method is centered around individual scientists. It describes original discoveries, its success and failures, hopes and disappointment. Historical method can be used to develop any topic and for introducing difficult and rather new topic. Historical method narrows the gap between present and past content knowledge. This method can be best used in primary classes. Merits. Helps in developing scientific attitude and spirit of scientific inquiry. The teaching procedures adopted in this method are to the child's level of understanding. The concept that scientific principles and theories are not absolute truth but are in a state of fluidity can be very well revealed through this method. Demerits. People fails to take the important aspect while going through the huge mass of irrelevant aspects. The use and application of media can give a clear idea about the historical perspective behind invention, so it is useless to use in classroom practice. The method is time consuming and many of the topics involved in secondary syllabus cannot be treated through this method. It does not inculcate practical knowledge and experiential learning. Heuristic method. The name came from Greek word heurisko, which means I discover or I find. Professor Henry E. Armstrong was the advocate of this method in 1884. In the words of Armstrong, heuristic method is a method of teaching which involves our placing the students as far as possible in the attitude of a discoverer. The method of teaching ensures the use and development of sense of touch, sight and hearing. The idea of this method was that student should discover everything he learns about from his own observation and experiments instead of imparting facts. The teacher should provide activities in which the students work independently. Heuristic method is based on, first one, the principle of freedom, principle of experience, principle of activity or learning by doing, principle of purposefulness, principle of logical thinking, principle of playway, principle of individual work. Merits: it develops scientific and critical attitude among students. Next one, the maxim of learning by doing is involved. Third, power of observation, reasoning and drawing inference are developed. People become self-dependent, self-reliant and self-confident as they learn through self-activity. The facts learned are retained for a longer period. Prepares child for life by providing training in scientific method. Problem of homework is solved. The relation between teacher and taught become more intimate and healthy. Limitations: in schools we will deal with immature children whose knowledge and thinking power are limited. So we cannot expect that everything can be discovered. It is very slow and very long processes, so we cannot complete our syllabus. Textbooks are not written based on heuristic lines, so teacher has to work hard and arrange different problem for learners. It is very costly to provide all facilities. Since too much stress is laid down on practical work, some students began to believe that science is something to be done in laboratories only, forgetting that laboratories are meant for science. Project method. Project method owes its origin to the pragmatic school of philosophy. It was propounded by W.H. Kilpatrick and was perfected by J.S. Stevenson. The method consists of building a comprehensive unit around an activity which may be carried out in the school or outside. The essence of this method is to carry out a useful task in a group in which all the students work cooperatively. Learning by doing and learning by living are the two basic principles involved, and children learn through association, cooperation and activity. Definition: a project is a problematic act carried to completion in its natural setting, given by Stevenson. A project is a wholehearted purposeful activity proceeding in a social environment, Kilpatrick. A project is a bit of real life that has been imparted into the school by Ballard. Principles of the project method: principle of freedom, principle of reality, principle of activity, principle of experience, principle of utility, principle of interest, principle of sociability. Major steps in the project method: first one, providing a situation. Next, choosing and purposing. Third, planning. Fourth one, carrying out the project or executing. Fifth, evaluating. And the last one, recording. Different kinds of project. First one, producer type. Here emphasis is directed towards the actual construction of a material, object or article. Consumer type. Here the objective is to obtain either direct or vicarious experience such as reading and learning stories or listening to music, etc. Third, problem type. Here the purpose is to solve a problem involving the intellectual process such as determining the E by M ratio of an electron. Drill type. Here the purpose is to attain efficiency in some activity, example swimming, driving, etc. Merits. The method is in accordance with psychological laws of learning. First one, law of exercise. By practice we learn things. Self-activity on the part of the students create experience in later life. Law of readiness. People are ready to learn, creating interest, purpose and lifelike situations. Law of effect. Child should be satisfied and feel happy in what he is learning. Second merit, it promotes cooperation and group interaction. Third, it gives training in democratic way of learning and living. Fourth one, there is no place for rote memorization. Next, provides dignity of labor and develop respect and taste for all types of work. Develop initiativeness and self-activity. Makes learning natural, spontaneous and interesting. It provides opportunity to participate actively and meaningfully in a purposive venture. Demerits. Project absorbs large amount of time and can be used as a part of science work only. Many aspects of curriculum will not yield to project work. Larger projects in the hands of an inexperienced and unskillful teacher lead to boredom. Textbooks written on these lines are not available. The method is highly expensive as people have to purchase lot of items, travel and do outdoor work. Mastery over the content is not achieved. Teaching is not organized, regularized or systematic. Next, problem solving method. The method is defined as a planned attack upon a difficulty for the purpose of finding a solution. It also defined as the process of raising a problem in the minds of the people in such a way as to stimulate purposeful reflective thinking for arriving at a rational solution. In this method, the person uses his ability to analyze a problem which confronts him in order to arrive at a solution. Steps in problem solving method: sensing the problem, interpreting, defining and delimiting the problem, collecting relevant data, organizing and evaluating the data, formulating tentative solution, drawing conclusion and making generalization, application of generalization to new situation. Individualized methods of instruction. Individualized methods of instruction are gaining popularity because of the fact that every individual learns lot of things of their own and learning to be categorized to individuals' needs and abilities. That is, the individual difference in the group should be taken care while framing the methods of teaching for a particular content. Programmed learning. Programmed instruction is a carefully specified, systematically planned, empirically established, skillfully arranged and effectively controlled self-instructional technique for providing individualized instruction to the learner. Here, learning materials are presented to the learner stage by stage through sequentially arranged small units called frames. Teaching, instruction and programmed instruction. According to Edgar Dale, teaching is a broad, vague and well-defined term, and instruction is a purposeful, orderly, controlled sequencing of experience to reach a specified goal. Programmed instruction is a subhead under the instruction and represents a more rigorous attempt to develop a mastery over specified goals to secure ensured learning. Principles of programmed learning: principle of small steps, principle of active responding, principle of immediate reinforcement, principle of self-pacing, principle of student testing. Different type of programming. First one, linear or extrinsic programming. Next, branched or intrinsic programming. Third, mathematics programming. Linear programming. This was developed by B.F. Skinner, so it is called Skinnerian style of programming. In this program, the learning material is presented into a series of small steps called frames. The content is broken down to meaningful segments of information arranged in an order as simple to complex. The students can be led to the desired goal by presenting carefully structured subject material in small steps, and each of which is reinforced. Here, the subject matter is presented in a straight line. The program is called extrinsic programming because the learner has no choice of his own in following the path or sequence. It is decided by the programmer. This type of programming is suited for small children. Branched or intrinsic programming. This was developed by American psychologist Norman A. Crowder in 1954. So, it is also called Crowderian style of programming. In branched programming, the subject matter is broken down into small steps. Here, a frame contains 2 or 3 related ideas or sequences. Question is asked at the end of each frame, and the students has to select correct responses from the given alternate responses, and he moves forward when it is right, and the students are taken to remedial frame when responses are wrong. In the remedial frame, the mistakes and topics are explained in detail. The program is also called intrinsic programming because here the learner within himself makes the decision to adopt the instruction to his needs according to the background of the subject. Mathematics programming. Mathematics programming is the latest and most controversial approach in programmed instruction. The word derived from Greek root methein, which means to learn. Thomas F. Gilbert is the originator of this concept. The usual pattern of programming is the roulette format of Evans and Glaser. Mathematics method is based on the analysis of the type of task involved in mastering the content of instruction and does not emphasize logical structure too much. The sequence of frames in this case is flexible As a technique of teaching, mathematics can be applied to a wide range of subject matter, but it is specially suited to teaching of skills. Basic steps of mathematical program: data collection and task analysis. Next, prescription for mastery characteristics of the trainees are assured. Third, characterization and lesson plan deficiency is removed and plan is to prepare to overcome the deficiency. Exercise writing prescription. Last, editing. Now it's a time to conclude our section. Before we conclude, let us summarize the things that we have discussed. We have discussed mainly about the methods of instruction in physical science, especially lecture cum demonstration method, heuristic method, project method and problem solving method. The main aim of teaching is to bring about socially desirable behavioral change in the students, and this can only be achieved if the teaching is effective and is based on principles of teaching. How the pupils will learn effectively depends on the method the teacher adopts. The process of interpreting the world of knowledge to the child's mind is called the method of teaching. Different methods adopt different strategies and techniques in their approaches, and their overall motive is better understanding of the content and thereby greater application of knowledge. Now please answer the following questions. First one, what are the requisites for a good demonstration? Second, how can you adopt heuristic method in classroom? Third, what are the criteria of a good project? Distinguish between linear and branched programming. Books for reference: Agarwal, Principles, Methods and Techniques of Teaching, Vikas Publishing House, New Delhi. Brunner, 1996, Towards a Theory of Instruction, Harvard University Press, Cambridge. Hilda Taba, 1967, Teacher's Handbook for Elementary Social Studies Reading, Mass Addison Wesley Publishing Company. Hope you enjoyed this session. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.